All right, so in our last chapter, if you remember, Ivy and Bean have everyone convinced that there is a ghost by the bathroom. I'm wondering if you believe them too. Let's see what happens in the next chapter. Zuzu spills the beans. The next day at lunch recess, there were no gymnastics on the grass, no soccer either. Every second grader in the school gathered around the play structure watching the bathroom. Whenever someone went in, they could see the ghost inside. It had definitely become clearer during the night. Pretty soon, nobody went in. Everyone knew about the ghost, even the kindergartners, and nobody wanted to use a haunted bathroom. Still, the second graders kept watching the door just in case an army of ghosts floated out. "What are you kids doing?" yelled Rose, the yard duty. "We're just standing here," Bean yelled. "It's a free country." "You watch it, Miss Bean," warned Rose, but she went away. The ghost didn't start causing problems until that afternoon. It was right in the middle of Drop Everything and Read when Miss Aruba Tate's classroom door burst open. Mrs. Noble marched in, holding Zuzu by the shoulder. Mrs. Noble was a fifth grade teacher. She had 1,000 tiny wrinkles on her face, and she wore high heels and stockings every day. Bean's mother said that Mrs. Noble was an old-fashioned teacher. Bean's sister, Nancy, said that Mrs. Noble locked kids in her cupboard when they were bad. Bean's mother said that Nancy was exaggerating, which means not true. That was a nice way of saying lying. Bean put her book down. She didn't like Drop Everything and Read anyway, except for the beginning when she got to drop things. Mrs. Noble's high heels were red with stiff black bows at the front, and her shiny red fingernails were pressed into Zuzu's shoulder. Zuzu was about to cry. This was going to be much more interesting than a book. Mrs. Noble didn't bother to lower her voice. "Becky," she boomed, "you've got to keep an eye on them. I found this one all the way over in the upper school bathroom." Miss Aruba Tate looked worried. What? What were you doing in the upper school bathroom, honey?" Zuzu opened her mouth, but no sounds came out. Big tears dripped down her cheeks and fell to the floor. "Our bathroom's haunted," she wailed suddenly. "Oh, brother." Bean looked sideways at Ivy. "Trouble." Ivy was staring at Zuzu. Then Zuzu pointed right at Ivy and Bean. They saw a ghost in the bathroom, and it's mad because the school's on top of its grave, and there's a portal, and more ghosts are coming," she gasped. Ivy slid down in her chair until she could hardly see over her desktop. Miss Aruba Tate put her arms around Zuzu. "Honey, the bathroom's not haunted." "Oh, yes, it is," hollered Eric. "I saw him," yelled Duzit. "He's got yellow glowing eyes, Miss Aruba Tate," said Vanessa. "Ivy says." Ivy looked at the classroom door. If she ran for it, would Miss Aruba Tate catch her before she got out? Miss Aruba Tate turned to Ivy. "Is all this coming from you, Ivy?" She sounded like she couldn't believe it. "Oh," Ivy swallowed. She wished she had never seen that ghost. She wished she had never said the word ghost. "All what?" she said finally in a high voice. Miss Aruba Tate looked over her class. "Boys and girls, who has heard this silly story?" One by one, the hands went up until only Ivy's were in her lap. "Ivy," said Miss Aruba Tate, "are you going to tell me that you have no idea what Zuzu is talking about?" "No," said Ivy softly, her eyes on her desk. "It's not a silly story. The bathroom is haunted." Her face was burning hot. "Oh boy," said Bean. "Trouble with cheese on top." Mrs. Noble shook her head. "Smart Aleck," she boomed. "Huh, I'd send her to the principal if she were mine, Becky." "Ooh," murmured the second grade. But as it turned out, Miss Aruba Tate didn't send Ivy to the principal's office. Instead, the whole class sat in a circle on the rug while Miss Aruba Tate talked about how important imagination was. Then Miss Aruba Tate told them a story about yelling, "Fire!" in a crowded theater. Pete had no idea what any of it had to do with a haunted bathroom. Ivy just wanted to run away. She didn't hear anything, at least not until Miss Aruba Tate said, "Some stories excuse me, can be harmful to others, class. And that means we have to use our imaginations responsibly and respectfully." Ivy tried to scrunch down behind her bean, who was sitting next to her. Miss Aruba Tate said, "Do you understand, Ivy?" "Yes," whispered Ivy, not looking at Miss Aruba Tate. The bell rang and everybody started squirming around, but Miss Aruba Tate held up her hand. "So I expect that I won't hear any more nonsense about a ghost in a bathroom, right?" Everyone looked at Ivy. Ivy picked some dirt out of the rug. "Right," she whispered after a moment. "Put up your chairs, boys and girls," said Miss Aruba Tate. And that's the end of the chapter. And next time we will read about no more nonsense. So in this story, we kind of found out that maybe she wasn't kind of telling the whole truth, and maybe that whole ghost business was a bit of her imagination. So we'll find out and read more next time.